Hi, I'm Sam, and today I want to talk to you about the benefits of the display network with Google. The first thing I want to look at is the types of targeting that you can use when it comes to using the display network. And the first of that is the contextual targeting. What this essentially means is that Google will determine which websites they will show your adverts on based on the types of keywords that you've put into the campaign. So it's not you specifying the websites, it's Google will determine which websites your adverts will go on based on the type of content on that particular site. On the other hand, you've got placement targeting, and with placement targeting you can actually specify which types of websites and the actual websites you want your adverts to appear on. So if you already know the types of websites that your potential customers frequent, you can look to see if they're opted into the display network, and then you can actually specify that you want your adverts to appear on these particular sites. There's also additional targeting that you can use when it comes to the display network. And within that you can get interest targeting. So that's based on the types of interests that your potential customers have got. Now that's determined based on their user search queries, their history, and also their ad preference manager, where you can actually go in as any kind of internet user can use. You can go into Google and specify the types of interests that you've got so that you're only receiving adverts based on those interests. Secondly, you've got topics. Now, although this sounds very similar to interests, it's actually slightly the reverse, so it's not based on the audience, it's based on the websites. So if you're looking to target topics such as sports or education or fashion, for example, you're telling Google, yeah, these are the types of topics that you want your ads to appear on, and then Google will determine which websites to place your adverts on based on those particular topics. You've also got the geographic and location targeting. Now that's pretty self-explanatory. And then finally, you've got demographic targeting. So you can look at targeting your adverts based on websites that are, based on your audience, based on their age, their gender, or their parental status. Now, I kind of see this demographic targeting increasing more and more over the years as Google finds out more and more about the types of visitors that are visiting websites. So that could get more and more targeted as we go on. One of the other benefits of using the display network is high-profile websites. Now, I don't know about you, but I've often browsed websites that you kind of look at on a day-to-day basis, and you see adverts from companies that you think, how are you affording to advertise on those types of sites? Now, this is where the Google Display Network comes in, because you can get your adverts appearing on these really high-profile websites at quite a little cost. We'll come on to look at bidding strategies in a little while here, but just remember that you can actually get your websites on these high-profile websites, and it's not going to cost you an absolute fortune. One of the other things that you can use with the display network, which I think is really good, is you can reinforce your brand message. So you can create captivating adverts that you don't necessarily get the same feel when you're just doing your standard search campaigns within the Google search listings, because you can't have the images and so forth. So being able to use the display network, you can actually create those images that you really want, have them bright, have them engaging, have them eye-catching, so that when people are actually visiting these different websites, your advert is the one that stands out in the corner. Your advert is the one that people want to actually click on and come through to your website. You've got control over the types of ads that you put on there and how your ads look, and reinforcing that brand message, keeping it all within your brand colours, and keeping that message reinforced across every website that your ads are going to go on. Next is I just want to look at the different bidding strategies. Now, one of the really good things with the display network is that you've got two options for how you want to bid. You can either bid on cost per 1,000 impressions, so that's how many times your ad gets seen, or the bit that I really like is you can actually bid on a cost per click strategy. So your ad could get seen by thousands and thousands and thousands of viewers, but until somebody actually clicks on that advert, you don't get charged a penny. So for me, the cost per click bidding within the display network is absolutely key, because you're getting all that brand message out and your ads are being seen by all these different people, but again, you don't pay a penny until somebody actually clicks on it. And next up, I want to look at View 3 conversions. Now, this is something that was launched a while back, and as long as you've got AdWords conversion tracking set up, and by that I mean you're not using the goal tracking within analytics and importing them into AdWords, as long as you've got the actual AdWords conversion tracking set up, what you can actually see now is if you've got your ad on a website and somebody doesn't click on it, but then they come back to your website in 2 or 3 weeks' time, for example, and they then convert, you can see how many times a particular ad has been shown and how many times that ad has potentially led to somebody coming back and converting with you, even though it's not a direct conversion from somebody clicking on the ad. So even though sometimes your display campaigns may not look like they're generating a load of conversions, if you're just looking at the conversion column, making sure that you're looking at the view-through conversions, because they could be actually aiding somebody to actually come and convert at a later date. And then finally, within AdWords and Analytics, you've got a massive reporting suite when it comes to looking at how your display network campaigns are working. My favourite report is the placement report. So what a lot of people should do, or should do, is when you're first getting started with this display network, is you start off with contextual targeting settings for your campaign, so that you're actually saying, Google, you place my adverts on where you think is relevant based on the types of keywords I've got in my campaigns. And then using the placement report, you can scan down that and see, right, okay, Google will place me here, 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 and here. This one's working really well for me. I've got loads of conversions or view-through conversions. This one's really not. This particular site here, I really don't want to have any association to at all. So using the placement report, you can A, find the sites that are working really well for you and move them from your contextual targeted campaign and put them in a placement targeted campaign, because you know these ones are working really well for you. And then what you can also do from that list is uncover the ones that you don't want to have any association with, and you can use the site exclusion tool to put the placements in there so that Google won't actually display your ads on those sites anymore, so that you're continuously refining your display network campaign, and the reporting suite is there to sort of aid and help you along with that. And my final point I want to make is the Google Display Network alone reaches 92% of internet users. So if you're not utilising the display network at the moment, you're missing out on a huge potential consumer base that you may not have, you may not be tapping into already. So it's definitely something that would be on my checklist, for kind of my marketing checklist for 2014 into 2015, if you're not already. If you've got any questions or you want help with setting up a display campaign, please do get in touch with us on the contact details below. And yeah, thank you very much for watching.